Okay, if you take a look at lesson 45, you have, for the first time, you have what's called a chord. And that's a set of notes that are played together. Okay, so if you look at the right hand, the top voice, you have a G, and then you have a C, and then you have an A. And all notes are on top of each other, so that means you're going to play them all together. So what you do is you place your finger on the index finger on the G, M finger on the C, which is on the second string, and your A finger on that E. Okay, and all you're gonna do is you place each finger on the string, and then you're gonna just pull them all together. Okay. See that? Look at the left hand. I'm holding down that C note. That's the second. The second note. You have a G, C, and an E. Okay. So if you look, they're all grouped together on top of each other for beats 2, 3, and 4. So if you look at lesson 45, the whole thing is in measure. The whole thing is in 4/4 time or common time, which means you get 4 beats per measure. Okay. Now when you're looking at the right hand, for every measure except the last one, you're going to be playing a chord on beat 2, on beat 3, and then on beat 4. Okay, so if I were to count the first measure, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, rest. Okay, that's just for the right hand. Okay, again, the right hand is playing on beats 2, beat 3, and beat 4. The first beat, the right hand is not playing. The IMA fingers are not playing anything. That's why if you look at the top voice, on the first beat there's a rest. That means that these 3 fingers are not going to be playing on that rest. Okay? So you need to go through there and figure out what notes to play. First measure and second measure, it's playing the same chord. Okay? So I'm going to play the first 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. 2, 3, 4. Rest. 2, 3, 4. Okay. If you notice, right when I'm going to pluck, when I pluck, the fingers come and they rest on the string. And then all you do is you pull them all at the same time. Like that. You see that? Okay. Notice that I'm just bending from the knuckle to the tip of the finger. I'm just pulling in like that. That's all you got to do. You don't have to move the whole hand like that. I see a lot of you guys always doing that. That's all you got to do. Okay. Let's take a look at measure 3. The notes are going to change. You have a G, a B, and an F. Notice it's an F, not an F sharp, but an F. Okay, so we've got to use the F. We're going to play an F. First string, first fret. Okay. On measures 3 and 4, it's playing the same chord. Okay. So I'm going to play measure 3 and 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. 2, 3, 4. Rest. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Next measure, measure 5. You have a G, you have a B, and then you have a high G on the first string. Okay. Look at measure 5. That G, there's a 4 there. That's telling you to use the pinky on the left hand. So you're going to use the pinky to play that. Let me play measure 5 and measure 6. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Rest. notice for measure 5 and measure 6, it's playing the same chord. Right? If you look, every time that chord appears, it's playing those same notes, a G, B, and a high G on the first string. Okay? Okay, let's take a look at measure 7 and measure 8. Well, measure 8 doesn't have a chord, so it's just, let's take a look at measure 7. Measure 7, beat 2, you have a G, a C, and an E. That's the same chord you played at the very first measure. Okay? So you're ending on the same chord as you began with. Okay, so I'm going to play the whole thing again from the very beginning. I'll count the rest. Again, I'm just playing the right hand right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest. 2, 3, 4, rest. 2, 3, 4, rest. 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 Then that last measure, again, there's nothing there on the, as far as the IMA fingers are concerned. Okay? Alright, let's take a look at the bass note now. What the thumb is going to play. So the thumb is playing a whole note for every measure. Okay, all that means is that when you play the note, it rings for 4 full beats. Okay, so I'm going to play lesson 45. I'm playing all the notes that the thumb is playing. And if you notice, it plays on the first beat every time. You just got to hold down that note. So the goal is to keep that note sustaining. Okay, you're playing bass notes, the strings are thicker, so you're going to have to hold them down. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Last note. 1, 2, 3, and okay. That was the bass note. So now you're going to combine the bass note and the IMA fingers. It's a little trickier. You're going to have to hold down that bass note while plucking the chord. Okay? So you're going to have to hold more than one finger down, and it's tricky. If your hands are not far enough out to where you pluck open strings, you're going to hear that. So you need to make sure that the left hand, when you're holding the chord down, that the flesh part of your finger is not blocking any open strings that you have to play. Okay. For example, when you play the first chord, you're going to have to hold down this C, and then you're going to have to hold down this C right here. And at the same time, this finger can't block that open string, or you're going to hear that sound. So you have to make sure the fingers are out like that. Okay. Okay, you hear that? That's measure 1. I'm going to play 45 for you. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and okay. So again, when you're holding down these notes, you're going to have to hold down more than one note at a time. So let me go through that with each measure. Measure 1 and 2, you're going to have to hold down this C and this C. Okay, but at the same time, you have to let the third string ring open and the first string. So when you play that chord, you have to make sure that this part of your hand is not blocking the string. Okay, so that's the first measure. Second measure, same idea. Okay, third and fourth measure, that one's a little easier. You have an open bass string, right? You have a D, which is the fourth string open. And then the next chord is just holding down that F while playing the open G and an open B. Okay. So here's measure 3 and 4. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's take a look at measure 5. You have a B, and then you have a G, B, and a G. Third string, G, second string, B, and then first string, that high G. You're going to play those three at the same time. Okay, but you have to hold down that B while you play these three. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, and that's for measure 5 and 6. Okay, it's a bit of a stretch, and the fingers you have to use you're not used to, because these are weaker fingers, right? Especially the position they're in is a little awkward. You're gonna have to get used to it. So you're gonna have to hold it down there, 5th string, 2nd fret, and then 1st string, 3rd fret. Measure 7, it goes back to the chord you had at the very beginning. Okay, so on measure 7, I play the C on the bass, and then I play these 3 notes, G, C, and E. I play them together. And then when I hit the last note, the final note, the C, I let these other 3 fingers land on the strings that I just played, so that I stop them, because there is a rest on the last measure, if you see. See that? So that only the bass note is ringing. Okay. Let's try the whole thing from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 2 ways to mute the last part. You can use these fingers on the right hand. Right, like that. Or you could use this finger. On the left hand to stop the notes from ringing. Either one is fine. Probably the right one, the one on the right hand is probably easier to do.